And welcome everyone to another community StarCraft event brought to you by me, Logan. This is the first round of the losers bracket of the SC24Life Silver and Bronze League tournament. Remember, it's just for fun, right after finals, people are graduating, and you don't have to be a pro gamer to enjoy StarCraft. So, on this map, this is Core Hall Compound LE, I believe. We have the red Terran Shadyr in the bottom left-hand corner. Shadyr was knocked into the losers bracket by King Itchy in a PvP on Agria Valley, a very small map, and it turned into a crazy kind of base race. So we'll see some more of Shadyr's more traditional PvP skills in this matchup, as his green opponent in this matchup is another Protoss in the northwest, or the northeast corner, the top right-hand corner of the map. So this is a pretty common. Actually, it didn't get too much use in tournament play. It's a pretty good map, though. I believe it was in the map pool for a little while on the ladder. Easy to take, natural. It's pretty well secluded. There's not tons of area back behind that you can move around. Relatively easy to take third. It's a little bit farther away and has an extra entrance. And then just remember, there's this big middle ground with watchtowers on either side. So the map, of course, I spent a lot of time talking about it because the map actually does make a pretty big difference in how the game goes. Smaller maps, you tend to see a lot more aggression, where larger ones, you see a lot more expand-heavy play, a lot longer macro-type games. So it is really interesting to look back at the very beginning of StarCraft Wings of Liberty and see things like Steps of War, where the map was probably actually about this big. It took like 30 seconds for units to walk over to the other person's base. So it was always really interesting to see what was happening. However, with the larger maps, you see a lot longer, more interesting, I guess more technical games. However, the small maps are also still very exciting. Brendenator getting chased away. He sees just about everything, though. I think he even saw the gas. No, not quite yet. He is going to see. He saw the mining, so either way. But there is a forge back home that went down before the cyber core while I was talking. So the forge, it looks like he's going to do some sort of cannon expand. It's possible he might just kind of cannon himself in. Whereas Shadyr is doing a much more traditional just gate. This cyber core, though, is actually really late. Looks like he was spending some micro. For future reference, most people, it's around 250 to 3 minutes for the cyber core, is roughly when it can come down. And usually you throw down the gas a little bit earlier so you're able to, afford warp gate right when you get it, because everyone loves warp gate. Production, we do have Shadyr with a significant lead in the harvesters. He's up by 4 already. We're only 4 minutes into the game, but both players still prioritizing that. Actually, none in the production queue. There we go. We do have a stalker coming out for Shadyr. A stalker is always great for initial scouting. They're the fastest thing in this matchup, I believe, at least for this point in time. Actually, I think it's the fastest Protoss unit other than the Phoenix. If I had to, we had a StarCraft trivia game. It said, "What's the fastest land-based Protoss unit?" I would say Stalker, and I'd probably do pretty well. So there was a cannon that was thrown down. Another gate. Interesting, he's not actually going for a wall off. He's more instead giving his units kind of a place to hide. With these static defenses in place, this ramp is pretty darn secure for now. And it'll be interesting to see if Shadyr can realize that because of this investment, I mean, this is 3 zealots down, and while you can't really attack at the front at this point in time, you can do other things, because there's not 3 zealots or a stalker and 2 zealots or something like that on the map, keeping you from taking this base or any of these others. There is a very close... Oh, cannon rush. Everyone loves cannon rushing. I don't think the probe will get in. The zealot coming down, he immediately retreats. Good idea. The stalkers actually could have taken it out from the high ground. But there's no way the cannon rush is going to work at this point. But you never know. It's also very unlikely that Shadyr's going to be scouting this. Wow. Shadyr really wants to see what's going on. Nothing wrong with wanting 3 observers. However, wanting all 3 of them at the same time can just cost a lot of money. I mean, it's 225 gas right there. However, it looks like he's still got some in the bank. So in the grand scheme of things, the matchup is still going to continue working as planned. Do have a scouting zealot, it looks like, and an observer. The cannon's actually probably going to take out this observer. Just barely on the edge, one more shot that would have gone down, and one zealot not going to be enough to take that. He actually should just put his stalkers right here, take it out from the high ground. Not a problem at all, because there's no vision above. Another proxy pylon going down though. So Brendenator definitely understands how this game is supposed to work. Remember, Warp Gate is magic. Everyone loves it. Another observer getting shot. The sentry going ahead and helping tickle this cannon to death. Looks like we do have 2 stalkers coming up. The one zealot here will get focused down. Not much you can do. However, this pressure with 3 stalkers, 5 stalkers on the high ground, this shouldn't be a problem at all to defend. As soon as he sees this, Brendenator will be pulling back using all of his APM. Check that out, 75. Good job, team. Pulling the zealot back. These stalkers are actually going to try to pick off this observer and this potentially this zealot. No, they're just going straight for the observer. Also, good job just sniping off free units from Brendenator. Back home, starting to macro up a little bit. He is still down on workers, but now he's got 4 gates and 1 robo. I don't know if you can actually support that. I'm pretty sure you can't actually, in terms of long-term production, while continuing to do things like pylons and probe production. If you cut those, you can support a lot of things in the short term, but you will frequently go broke and or get supply blocked in the long term. Shadyr throwing down an expansion. They're both getting quite a bit of a bank at this point in time. Their first weapons upgrade going down for Brendenator. Good long-term focus. Upgrades pay off more and more the longer the game goes. And seeing a player invest in upgrades means that they're definitely wanting to take the game longer. What that can also mean is that the player believes they'll be doing better. A warp in at the back from Brendenator. There's nothing here to defend. The army's close by, but there's no reaction from Shadyr as of yet. He needs to pull all these probes. He's losing 1, 2, 3, 4. Workers lost. We have 7 workers killed from Brendenator right now. It's excellent work. These stalkers not the greatest. The zealots, terrible surround. The zealots, he's a boss. Check him out. 5 kills. Mentor, 3 kills for his buddy. 3 kills for his other buddy, 3 kills for his other buddy. So this was a very effective attack, and it's going to allow these stalkers up to the front. This should be able to be defended. He's got enough stuff coming out here. He just needs to get down there and not lose any more workers. The worker count is actually going substantially in the favor of Brendenator right now. The army size, though, is hugely in favor of Shadyr, especially with this Immortal and all these stalkers. These other stalkers will be forced back. However, not losing these stalkers is very important. Remember, in the units lost, actually just in workers alone, Shadyr lost quite a bit more. However, what's happened right now is now that there is an expansion for each player, and interesting to see, we have 2 workers at a time out of Shadyr. He knows he's behind in workers right now. He really needs to get caught back up. He really needs to take out this pylon, actually. Another warp-in cycle could happen quite easily, but he is fanning out. He's starting to push his way forward because he does have a huge army size advantage right now, and he could conceivably just walk over there and cut him right down. There's only 2 cannons, and with an Immortal, 2 cannons don't... Basically, Immortals kill all buildings. I don't know if you've seen any of the... oh gosh. Can't remember the name of those games. However, the engagement here, the sentry going down immediately. They're at the front, force fielding off a little bit, but with stalkers, not quite as important to force field. The Guardian Shield, much better choice. He is going to force him back. The Immortal here, just taking out buildings as they go in. The stalkers doing the majority of the work. A little bit of target firing being wasted on the building, which allows these stalkers back here to get more kills than they should have. But with 2 Immortals, this whole expansion is ultimately doomed unless he can warp in. I am really glad to see Zealots warping in. Remember, Zealots are so much better against Stalker and Immortal than Stalkers or Immortals. They're also much cheaper, and you can reinforce them faster. With this next engagement, the high ground with these cannons, he should be able to hold this, especially now he's got another round of Zealots coming in. He is a little bit supply blocked, though. 2 more stalkers. Not sure how I feel about that. I guess he wants to be able to shoot down death from the high ground while the zealots here run down and are the cannon fodder. There's an observer here, so force fielding the bottom won't work. Back home, Shadyr is continuing his probe production. He is now caught back up and far exceeded his opponent. He does have 3 gates, 5 gates now. There's an engagement here. Few quick stalkers get lost. This Immortal doing his job. The observer going down, that was actually a critical error. Now he has to make his way up the ramp in order to attack. No vision can be had. There we go. Is there another? Yeah. 2 probes, 2 proxies, throwing down some cannons. He was a little bit supply blocked, and so nothing else to spend his money on. He's now getting more ranged units. Not quite sure how I feel about this. It would be nice if he could sneak an observer and do a nice counterattack, pull off some of this aggression at the front. We do have additional 1 stalker that's almost dead, kind of hanging out back. APM, 107 APM from Brendenator. Not bad. Remember, Bronze and Silver League tournament. These guys are playing their guts out for 107 APM. That's pretty impressive. The army sizes are now exactly identical. Now, Shadyr, with another warp-in cycle, is getting a little bit farther ahead. Remember, his economy is now it's double almost what his opponent is. And his opponent's actually getting close to mined out, so we'll see if Brendenator can push these units back. If he has a few more Immortals, he is continuing to produce Immortals. He has 3 to his opponent's 2, which in its only stalker composition, 3 Immortals tear through them like madmen. I don't believe we have a forge. We have another robotics facility coming down. And a warp prism. Everyone loves warp prisms. These are sacrificial. This Immortal takes them out just fine. That should equalize the army size a little bit. And there's just a little bit of a stalemate going on, but now there are warp-ins back home. There are stalkers coming down to double check. I wonder how he knew that this is there, if he was just scouting and going for a 3rd base. So now the APM is back here. These zealots do not have charge, so they should be able to be kited. However, the zealots make their way in here. He could lose a lot more workers. There's a single zealot being warped in. These should be cleaned up pretty well. However, there are going to be a good number of worker kills. And with these being caught up together, he is taking out a little bit here. Brendenator should really take this moment and come out and snipe some of these other units out here. All the APM is back here. However, it has now been cleaned up. Units lost. 17 workers killed by Brendenator. That's quite amazing. Probe does not make it out alive. Shadyr now with still the larger army, but just kind of hanging out. I wonder if he's going to be throwing down an expansion. He does have the money. Brendenator is starting to run dry. There's only 600-700 more minerals there. That's 2 warp-ins really. With no zealots here, Brendenator should really just come down, get a nice arc, kind of back up against here so the cannons can get some range, and then engage and just micro your stalkers well to make sure they don't take extra damage from these Immortals. Because with 4 Immortals, ooh, the Guardian Shields, he's just going to gun it, go for it. The Zealots running their way to the front, taking all the damage, and allowing the Immortals and Stalkers at the back to really just pummel these forces. Remember, Zealots, super important in an Immortal Stalker composition. This Immortal is going to go down. No hardened shield. It will not be able to escape. These 2 Zealots will probably be taken out. They're going to chase down. Okay. So we're going to come back. This Stalker is surprisingly giving chase. And now Brendenator is able to expand just in time. I think he's down to 1 mineral patch with a whole bunch of buddies. 19 workers all mining the same mineral patch. Now, if he does... Okay, there was not actually a proxy pylon thrown down there. It was just a few units. So the army is now pulled back here. Really surprised this pylon has not been taken out, given that I believe he does know that it's there. Just must have gotten lost in the APM battles. Because now back up to 135 and 110. Very intense micro going on. This is going to get taken out. He's just spreading units out all over the place. Wants to make sure that there's no base. This is 4 Zealots. This expansion is complete. He's going to be giving some pressure to his opponent, trying to make sure that he can do some damage. However, now that there's no mining here, a drop to the back, not going to be super successful. However, it will be annoying and probably pull this army back. But with no units here, probably won't get a ton done. Now remember, Warp Prism harasses are much more effective than you might think. It's not just 4 workers here, or 4... Okay, finally taking out this pylon. Great news. But back to this Warp Prism. They don't just hold 4 zealots. They also can turn into a pylon, and he has 5 warp gates. So 5 warp gates, you can warp in 5 stalkers and 4 zealots, and that's actually a pretty formidable little attack in the back of your opponent's base. Income, 52 to 26. You can see the lopsided income tab, especially in gas. It's interesting, Brendenator going for a robotics bay. He's going to start doing colossi, but he's effectively completely and entirely broke. And the gas income, it's really hard to do one base colossi. You just don't have enough gas to really do much. Okay, the Warp Prism is coming in. It's going to try to snipe off these free 4 workers. 1 zealot saying, I'm going to take out this building. He's probably actually just buying time for his buddies over there who are actually taking out workers. Took out 1 so far. Actually, not sure if he's taken out any so far. They keep ducking back into here. The Warp Prism running over the entire army. Not the greatest engagement there. No warp-ins actually did happen. And it looks like just 4 units lost for Shadyr. So not the greatest of engagements. Brendenator did a great job controlling that. I don't think he actually lost any workers. He might have lost 1, so not really a big deal at all. A ninja expansion. Always entertaining. For some reason you see these a lot in these games, especially when under pressure. It seems pretty common right now for players to just say, you know what? I think if I put my base down at my 3rd, I don't have the forces to secure that, so I'm going to put this here and just hope they don't have blasters. That's basically what's going on. A whole bunch of pylons trying to get unsupply blocked. He's not supply blocked, but pretty close. He does have a very well saturated base, 60 workers to 27. The income is staggeringly different. Colossi is in production. Ooh, for both of them, actually. Where's the robotics facility? There it is. I always think these things look so crazy. Check them out. Working on stuff. They're welding in there, pretty sure of it. Or at least Protoss welding. So Colossi production has been started. With the additional gas income, he has been able to produce 2 at a time, whereas his opponent Brendenator is only going to be able to produce 1 at a time. And there is no extended thermal lance right now, which means that Shadyr's Colossi will be able to hang out way behind the 6 range units, which are all Stalkers and Immortals, and do a lot of damage, whereas Brendenators will stand on top of those other units. And remember, splash damage from Colossi go in straight lines, so if it hits all the Stalkers and the Colossi is on top, the Colossi will also be taking damage. Shadyr going for another base. Excellent choice. He's a little bit ahead. His army size is much larger. He has been watching these other expansions. He is checking for bases. He's just not assuming that there'd be a base almost at his base. Sadly, no base in his base yet. That's always quite entertaining. Everyone loves base in your base attacks. But some additional Immortals going down. And for the really Stalker-heavy composition, that'll work pretty well. But with so many Immortals here and the Colossi with extended range, it will be interesting to see how this works. There is +1 shields and +1 weapons for Brendenator, and 0-0 for Shadyr at the moment. However, there are 2 going down. +1 armor, +1 weapons. It's actually very late in the game to be getting upgrades. However, the army size difference should more than make up for that. Both players actually keeping their money down quite well at this point in the game. However, the supply difference is just huge, and that's simply from the economy. Shadyr has had the much larger economy for much longer, and simply is able to support it. Whole bunch of cannons going down saying, I don't want to have to defend this. Remember, the longer the game goes on, static defenses actually become worth much more. Simply because your army, especially with slower units like Colossi, is not going to be able to get back at all. 6 Colossi. Look at those Doomwalkers. It's like War of the Worlds all over again. I love PvPs with Colossi. Just looks kind of really hilarious, and the Gateway armies simply evaporate. It's going to be scouting around, checking for expansions. There is a single Zealot there that will get absolutely vaporized. And the army is going to be coming around from the back. I wonder if the Colossi have enough range and can see over double high wall. I don't think they should be able to. However, this area right here is not really a large enough choke. It's a little bit of a choke, especially from this direction. But we'll see how the engagement works. Everything's all clumped up. Ideally, you'll have everything really spread out as long as there's damage here. And how did these guys get in here? Did they run back in? Were they dropped? The warp in range. Can just barely warp in. He saw the mining happening. Looks like he should have thrown in another cannon a little bit farther down. However, the engagement coming here, these cannons are going to go down very quickly. And now, this army is going to be tucked down a little bit into the corner. And remember, this is not Heart of the Swarm. There's no photon overcharge that can happen. However, these buildings will take some of the damage from the Colossi because they're auto-targeting the things that were closest to them. You can see all the units at the front being very damaged by the Colossi. The Blink Fort's very aggressive. These Immortals just devastating the Stalkers at the front lines. However, the Colossi at the back are really what are doing the damage. They're going to take out this Nexus. There's no way to protect that. All of the workers here going down. The workers, remember, if the workers killed them, it was substantially in favor of Brendenator for a long time. Now Shadyr doing his best to equalize the fight. I don't believe that they have extended range yet. The Colossi able to do lots of damage, just not able to get close because everything's getting vaporized. This Colossi having to walk so far. He does get one Colossi kill. This one Immortal taking quite a bit of damage. He does actually escape for a moment, but is going to be chased down and taken out. Does get some good damage. It looks like this is going to be all she wrote for Brendenator. However, he is warping in, continuing to fall back, trying to get the best engagements possible. A lot of these Stalkers could go down with this Immortal, but with the range 9 Colossi, it's so hard to get a good engagement against them without your own Colossi or Void Rays, some sort of air unit. He does blink forward, try to take out an additional Colossi, but with this huge army in your base, let's see how in the world this could continue much longer. The supply count, 160 supply difference, is kind of ridiculous. We do have a Zealot warping in back here, though. All of these idle probes. He does have charge. He's really trying to take care of that one probe that got stuck. There, he's starting finally to take more things out. He's going to get a few kills, because remember, he does have +1. However, these do now have +1 armor and +1 shields. And it looks like he's just going to run through, take the base. Now, because this ninja expansion and his bank, he's not out of this yet. It's just he'd have to do some ridiculous harasses in order to actually get a lot done. He did get some additional worker kills. The income is only now 57 to 17. So he's still in this. I would actually not be surprised at all to see a Dark Shrine. It's called an Anytime Dark Shrine for a reason. And this entire area is completely open. There's no detectors anywhere. I don't see any observers on the map at all. So a Dark Shrine could actually get quite a bit done. However, I just don't think he's going to have enough time. He knows, Shadyr knows that there's nothing at any of these other bases because he has units there or he's been there just recently, and he knows he's keep getting warped in from. So this base is going to be under fire immediately. He's waiting for the rest of his army, although remember, range 9 is larger than range 7. Colossi just going to thermal vaporize everything. I'd like to point out the ridiculous warp gate count. That's another 6 on top of his 5. These Zealots going to be immolated before they even get there. And now the army is converging. It looks like, well, Brendenator was doing pretty well, hiding some expansions around the map. It looks like the larger economy and a few good engagements got Shadyr pretty far in this game, and these engagements going very well for him. It looks like he's going to take this. Would like to see another another expansion. Looks like Brendenator practicing well the Galaxy Quest motto of never give up, never surrender. I can totally understand that. I think he's attacking with probes. No, Zealots. A few Zealots taking down some definitely not Artosis pylons. For those of you not familiar with the term, Artosis pylons are pylons that one pylon powers like every single thing in the building, like 6 gateways. Much more like if this was the only pylon here. These Zealots not going to get taken out by probes, which is a little bit embarrassing for a Zealot. Saying, how'd you die? I got taken out by 35 robot things that mine money for us. He does get some additional kills. He is being pretty annoying, and now he's still not being revealed. However, it's only a matter of time. There's not that many expansions, and if you look at the vision of Shadyr, he knows everywhere except for 2, so he's sending units to both of those right now. Looks like the macro for Shadyr in his long-term PvP games is quite good. Remember the first game we saw from him, he was not able to really get to the late game because there's a base race at like the 11-minute mark, and then it turned into starting the game over but with 2 workers instead of 6. Looks like both of these going to get scouted. Brendenator now throwing down the GG. And we'll look forward to watching Shadyr continue on in the losers bracket, see how he continues to do there, and sadly, we offer our condolences to Brendenator. Hopefully he enjoyed the tournament. This is all in great fun, and we hope he enjoys watching the rest of the games, because remember, everyone here just loves